Good morning, children. It's story time today, and today I have a very interesting story to tell you. It's a story about a little boy, and it's called The Mitten, and it's from the country of Ukraine. It's a Ukrainian folk tale. So it's a little bit different, but it's all about winter and we're approaching into the Christmas season. So here it is, The Mitten, a Ukrainian folktale adapted and illustrated by Jan Brett. Okay. Once there was a boy named Nicky who wanted his new mittens made from wool as white as snow. At first, his grandmother, Baba, did not want to knit white mittens. If you drop one in the snow, she said, you will never find it. That's true. Why is that? Because the mittens are white and the snow is white. But Nicky wanted snow white mittens, and finally, Baba made them. Okay, let's see what happens. After she finished, she said, when you come home, first I will look to see if you are safe and sound, but then I will look to see if you still have your snow white mittens. So off Nicky went, and it wasn't long until one of his new mittens dropped in the snow and was left behind. Do you see where the mitten is? There it is by the tree. A mole, tired from tunneling along, discovered the mitten and burrowed inside. It was cozy and warm and just the right size, so he decided to stay. Oh, here it's, look at the mole going into the mitten. That's funny. A snowshoe rabbit came hopping by. Let's see if we can find the snowshoe rabbit. He stopped for a moment to admire his winter coat. It was then that he saw the mitten, and he wiggled in. Feet first. The mole didn't think there was room for both of them, but when he saw the rabbit's big kickers, he moved over. So now there's the mole and the rabbit in the mitten. Next, a hedgehog came snuffling along. Having spent the day looking under wet leaves for things to eat, he decided to move into the mitten and warm himself. The mole and the rabbit were bumped and jostled, but not being ones to argue with someone covered with prickles, they made room. So now the rabbit, the mole, and the hedgehog are in the mitten. As soon as the hedgehog disappeared into the mitten, a big owl, attracted by the commotion, swooped down. When he decided to move in also, the mole, the rabbit, and the hedgehog grumbled. But when they saw the owl's glinty talons, they quickly let him in. Do you know what talons are? Aren't they these, like his claws, his fingernails? I think that's what talons are. So now we have the mole, the rabbit, the hedgehog, and the big owl. That's a pretty large mitten. Uh-oh, another one. Up through the snow appeared a badger. He eyed the mitten and began to climb in. The mole, the rabbit, the hedgehog, and the owl were not pleased. There was no room left, but when they saw his diggers, they gave him the thumb. His diggers, like his claws, that he uses to dig. They gave him the thumb. That means, come on in. Oh my gosh, it started snowing. But the animals were snug in the mitten. A waft of warm steam rose in the air, and a fox trotting by stopped to investigate. Just the sight of the cozy mitten made him feel drowsy. The fox poked his muzzle in. When the mole and the rabbit and the hedgehog and the owl and the badger saw his shiny teeth, they gave the fox lots of room. I bet. Uh-oh, what else do you think is going to try and get into that big mitten? A great bear lumbered by. He spied the mitten all plumped up, and not being one to be left out in the cold, he began to nose his way in. The animals were packed in as tightly as could be, but what animal would argue with a bear? Not me. The mitten swelled and stretched. It was pulled and bulged to many times its size, but Baba's good knitting held fast. Oh my gosh. Okay, look at all of these animals in the mitten. A bear, a fox, an owl, a badger, a hedgehog, and a rabbit. Along came a meadow mouse, no bigger than an acorn, and she wriggled into the one space left and made herself comfortable on top of the great bear's nose. Look at the little meadow mouse. The bear, tickled by the mouse's whiskers, gave an enormous sneeze. Ah-choo! The force of the sneeze shot the mitten up into the sky and scattered the animals in all directions. On his way home, Nicky saw a white shape in the distance. It was his lost mitten, silhouetted against the blue sky. See it flying? The lost mitten. As he ran to catch it, his snow-white mitten, he saw Baba's face in the window. First she looked to see if he was safe and sound, and then she saw that he still had his new mittens. The end. That was I wonder if it was stretched out by all of those animals stuffing themselves inside the mitten. Maybe it was a magic mitten. I don't know. That was called The Mitten by Jan Brett. So thank you everybody for joining me for story time. Enjoy your day and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.